you want to go over what's called the residual income. And so residual income is basically, in my profession, we go through credit reports, right? But there are a lot of things that you don't see on a credit report. On a credit report, you just see like their cars, the mortgage, the credit cards, maybe student loans, installment loans, things like that. But what you don't see is the cost of utilities. You don't see the cost of groceries. You don't see cost of entertainment, dining out, right? Or kids' hobbies or daycare. And it's important to understand what those costs are, but there's an easier way to going about it versus asking them line by line, how much a month do you spend in groceries? How much a month do you spend in, dining out, right? So you don't need to go to that degree, but there's an easier way to figure out the residual income. Now, for those of you who've been watching my content for a long time, I refer to this as their net. But essentially, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, the primary focus and the reason for asking that particular question is because you're trying to identify how much money they're left with at the end of each month from their net take-home income after they pay all of their bills and their expenses. And so it sounds something like this. Hey, John, so you know what? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or FHA, VA, they're really focused on what's called residual income. And what that is, John, is, you have your net income that you bring home for the month. And after all your bills are paid, not only everything we see on the credit report, but I'm talking about like groceries, utilities, medical expenses, fuel, cost of living, entertainment, dining out. Like how much of that income do you have left at the end of each month to put into your checking and savings? Now, it's very important you say that, right? Because we're really going to focus on your checking and savings. Our focus isn't necessarily on stocks, investments, and assets right now, because that's very limited, far few in between. And there is a way to handle those who do have a surplus and they are putting in investments, and I'll talk about that in another video. But right now, what we're looking for is how much do they have left to put towards checking and savings? In other words, is there a surplus? And if so, how much is it? Here's the fun fact, is that they're always going to give you an exaggerated number when you first ask them that. And here's the way that you're actually able to extract the truth. And so oftentimes when I ask that question, the prospect may very well say,
I got about $1,000, $2,000 left.
This is how you come back at them, right? Again, you want to dig deeper and say, okay, so if your residual income is $1,000 to $2,000 extra per month that you could put towards checking and savings, can I ask you, with your balance in checking and savings as of right now, are you noticing it that the balance stayed the same, or is it decreasing, or is it increasing? And the reason why you're doing that is because what most will say is that it's staying about the same. And now you have leverage, right? Because if it's staying the same, isn't it fair to say, John, if your account balance is staying the same, technically what comes in goes out. So the residual income would be zero. Is that right? That's correct, yeah. Okay, so that's why we're focused on residual income. So if your account is staying the same, or the balance is staying the same on average per month, what would you say that balance is? Just roughly, rough estimate, John. Your average balance of checking and savings is how much? And then they're gonna tell you about $500 or $1,000. Very rarely do you have someone that says anything north of $2,000. Again, this is more leverage.